A long road trip for the Bulls this week and a critical week after losing 7 of their last 10 games, sitting 8-11 and 12th in the Eastern Conference and going up against some of the toughest opponents in the West, which I guess is going to be a good thing since the Bulls seem to be playing their best basketball against the better teams in the NBA. But a long, grueling week, 4 games in the span of 6 days, starting tonight against the Utah Jazz, and then they'll fly to Phoenix to play the Suns on Wednesday, then over to the Bay Area where they will take on the defending champions, a game I am very much looking forward to as I will be in attendance on that one. And then they'll make a quick trip over to Sacramento on Sunday to finish out the week. I might attend that game as well. I'll see if I can get away with it from the wife and kids, but either way, a long week. And in today's video, we're going to be previewing the week of games ahead for the Bulls, things to be looking out for, and my predictions for the week. So what's going on, everyone? You're listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. So the Bulls kick off their West Coast road trip tonight against one of the bigger surprise teams in the league in the Utah Jazz, although they've kind of been coming back down to earth after that incredible start. They've lost 4 in a row, 7 of their last 10, but still above 500, and a scrappy team that is out to prove that they're a force in the league and not a team that was deemed to be one of the top prospects in the tank for Wembayama sweepstakes. And of course, it starts with Lauri Markkanen. Lauri freaking Markkanen, the once thought to be franchise cornerstone for the Bulls, is now thriving thus far with the Utah Jazz. Yet another instance of why it sometimes pays to be patient in developing players, although that topic really deserves a whole video in and of itself because Lauri really did start showing major regression and just wasn't fitting in with the overall roster that the Bulls had. But be that as it may, he's playing incredibly well now, averaging over 21 points per game and 8.5 rebounds. His passing has also improved. Defenses look better as well, especially his rim protection. This is going to be a great matchup for Patrick Williams going up against his former teammate who is getting all of this recognition for his improved season. But at the time of this recording, Markkanen is actually questionable to play in tonight's game, but assuming he plays, this is a game where I think Patrick is really going to give a lot of trouble to Lauri Markkanen and his ability to get to the hoop. And also on the opposite end, Lauri, although his defense, yes, has improved, he's still not a top-level defender, and this will open up opportunities for Patrick to be more aggressive in getting to the basket with his quick step over Lauri's poor lateral quickness. The other thing I'll say about this game is, yet again, another opponent the Bulls are taking on in which they don't have a true bona fide center. Therefore, I don't know how many times I have to say this, especially after the display we saw in the last game. Feed Vucevic. Get him involved in the post. I don't want to see Vuce chucking up a bunch of threes. I don't want to see the Bulls drawing up ISO plays when Vuce has a mismatch down low. I want to see him attacking guys like Walker Kessler, Jared Vanderbilt, posting up, getting to the rim, putting up hooks or throwing it down against guys who are smaller and more inexperienced than him. I know Kessler is actually bigger than him, but he's obviously by far more inexperienced than him, given he's a rookie. Also need to see Ayo all over Jordan Clarkson. He's been somewhat inconsistent so far this season, but the man can get hot in a hurry and is the second leading scorer on the Jazz. Don't let him get hot and start taking over the game as he has done on occasion this season. I'd rather have Ayo just focus all of his energy and effort on defense in this game, not be worried about exerting as much energy on offense, and holding off Clarkson from getting him buckets could be a difference maker in the game. Now, I say that assuming Ayo is actually going to be on Clarkson. I guess in theory he could be on Conley for parts of the game while him and Caruso rotate between Conley and Clarkson. Then the Bulls head to Phoenix on Wednesday. Always a hard matchup for the Bulls when you have an elite level scorer in Devin Booker who can go off for 40 points any night and has really torched the Bulls in the past. Vooch is not a good matchup for DeAndre Ayton as well. Mikal Bridges has been so good for them. In my opinion, one of the more underappreciated players for the Suns and their success over the last couple of seasons. Cam Payne, Bulls legend Cam Payne, still somehow is playing decent for that team, although he's not playing at the level as he was last season, the season prior. But where the Bulls do have an advantage in this one is that as of right now, Chris Paul is out of the lineup, but could be back by Wednesday when the Bulls come to town. CP3 obviously is not the same player we saw, from the Suns a couple of seasons ago when they went to the finals, but he's still one of the highest IQ point guards out there, one of the greatest passers of all time, a great defender. So if he is playing, that's going to be a focus for guys like Ayo and Caruso to limit his playmaking ability and running the floor. And then, of course, Cam Johnson is also out of the lineup, who has been a huge piece for the Suns on their offense as well. But the Suns are a fairly deep team even without some of those guys in the lineup, so you still have to take them seriously. Game plan for this one has to be locking down Booker, giving him nothing from outside and mid-range, double teaming him when you have to on most possessions, live with the Suns relying on guys like Ayton and Payne putting up shots and carrying the bulk of their offense. Then the Bulls head to the Bay on Friday, and you guys know I'm most excited about this game as I'll be in the stands cheering on my team. For those that don't know, I've been living in the Bay Area for the last 10 years and always go and see the Bulls when they play coming to town. And the past 5 or 6 years hasn't been good when going to see the Bulls play. I believe the Bulls have actually lost pretty much all of the games of the last 5 or 6 years anytime that I've gone to a game, even when the Warriors were down due to injuries. So I need the Bulls to win this one, guys. I don't think I can take another loss seeing the Bulls lose live. I joked last season, every time I go to a Bulls game, I think I'm just bad luck at this point. The Bulls, the last time I went to a game in which they won was Christmas Day 2014 against the Lakers. Yeah, nearly 8 years ago. And look, I think this is the most probable game in which the Bulls can actually walk away with a win. Don't get me wrong, the Warriors are still one of the best teams in the league despite their slow start, and they're actually a little hot right now, winning 3 in a row, winning 7 of their last 10. Steph Curry is playing out of his mind. Every year you think he might lose a step and start declining. He somehow plays better than the season before. Wiggins is still playing solid, but look, I see the Bulls actually being a bad matchup for the Warriors. I know it hasn't been the case the last few seasons, and the Bulls more or less have the same roster, but what differs this season from last is, one, Vucevic, at least in the first game, didn't play due to health and safety protocol, and with the Warriors being a small ball, pace and space team, this is yet another opportunity to utilize Vucevic to his strengths down low against Kevon Looney, or when Draymond Green is playing the 5. On top of that, Zach Lavine went out early in the game against the Warriors last season in Chicago with that knee injury that he more or less still hasn't fully recovered from. And then the other piece I'll add, which I think will be overlooked, is Andre Drummond and the advantage of his size and ability to grab offensive rebounds. The Warriors are actually one of the worst teams in the league when it comes to rebounding, 24th overall, a very poor offensive rebounding team. When the Bulls had to start Tony Bradley last season against the Warriors and Alizé Johnson coming off the bench at the 5, it was a nightmare for the Bulls when it came to rebounding the ball. It also didn't help that the Bulls shot the ball horribly in that game. In fact, I believe Lonzo had one of his worst shooting games in that one. And then the other key difference from last season is that the Warriors no longer have the depth that they used to off the bench. They let guys like Gary Payton Jr. go, Otto Porter, Juan Toscano, Damian Lee. Not saying all of these guys were critical to their success, but they were a big reason why the Warriors were so dominant even when their starters were having off nights, because they always stepped up for them. They don't have that this season. In fact, their bench is actually pretty weak, while the Bulls actually have one of the stronger benches in the league, especially if Dragic is fully back and healthy and ready to play by then. Same with Javonte Green. Jordan Poole has been struggling after getting his bag, very inconsistent this season. Klay Thompson has been really bad from an efficiency standpoint, although he started to get things together a little more recently. I feel like this is a game where the Warriors might overlook the Bulls because we obviously have been struggling and going through our own growing pains as well, but this is a game where you need Vucevic to dominate in the post, get Zach involved early, as Thompson has also been pretty subpar on defense. Wiggins is probably going to be a tougher matchup for DeMar DeRozan than most people think, as Wiggins has actually really stepped up his game on defense the last couple of years. And then Patrick is going to be in for a ride going up against Draymond Green, who will do whatever he can to get under his opponent's skin. And then I just want to see Ayo and Caruso on Curry all night. Do whatever you can to limit him as much as possible. Double team, triple team. He's going to get his shots off, but don't let him have a game where he goes off hitting like 10 threes like I saw in the last one, which I do worry about because the Bulls are a very poor perimeter defending team and the Warriors are the best three-point shooting team, or one of the best three-point shooting teams in the league. But I'm not going to be thinking about that. Positive thoughts only in this game. Also, if any of you guys happen to be going to the game at Chase Center, hit me up. Would love to meet some of you guys. And then finally, the Bulls close out this week in Sacramento against the Kings. The Kings are an interesting one because they have kind of been this Cinderella story that has actually played very well when they have been the laughingstock of the NBA for so many years. They're actually 10-8, 6th in the West. De'Aaron Fox has been looking like an all-star out there, leading that team, having his most efficient season yet, and his highest impact on the roster in terms of his plus-minus numbers. Domantas Sabonis has been great for them, one of the best rebounders in the league so far this season. That trade that they made for Kevin Huerter has also been great for them and paying off with his outside shooting ability. They signed Malik Monk, which has been a great pickup. Their rookie Keegan Miller has been okay, has struggled with his shot, but I'm going to attribute that to early rookie jitters. He's still looking like a solid player with a lot of potential. There is a lot to like about this team and what they're doing. The key here for the Bulls, rebounding. Sabonis is a great rebounder, but really no one else on that team is able to rebound well. They're one of the worst rebounding teams in the league. Bulls with Vucevic and Drummond need to take advantage of that. They're also the worst shot blocking team in the NBA, dead last, so you know right away they're not going to challenge you at the rim like some of these other teams around the league are. Attack the rim, go up strong, get points in the paint, take advantage of their poor defense. They're 25th in the league on defense, while 3rd on offense. The Bulls need to run the ball, move things around, turn defense into offense on quick transition plays, and exploit the Kings' poor defense. As far as my predictions for the week, This one is tough. You guys know I try to be optimistic with my predictions, sometimes to a fault. 4 road games in 6 days. Gonna be hard for the Bulls to win the bulk of these, but I'm gonna say the Bulls go 2-2, beating the Jazz and the Warriors and losing to the Suns and the Kings. I think the Jazz, they can beat, especially if Lauri Markkanen isn't gonna be playing. They had a really nice run to start this season, but this is still a rebuilding team. We have to remember that. The Suns, just too good and a bad matchup for the Bulls. For the Warriors, I think the Bulls' depth will pay off for them. And then for the Kings, even though I think the Bulls are a better team than them on paper, it's the last game of a long road trip. The fatigue factor, I think, is likely going to set in. So it's why I have them falling in sack. But let me know how you guys think the Bulls will fare this week. Let me know in the comments. And as always, be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan, as I do post daily Bulls content. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.